Welcome, Pisces, to the month of November 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and rising signs in the final zodiac sign of Pisces the Fish. Now, the month starts out on November 2nd with the planet Venus in Libra in your 8th house, sextiling the moon in Leo in your 6th house. So from the 8th to the 6th houses, the 6th house of health, work, and service given, and the moon in the fiery sign of Leo positively sextiles Venus in the air sign of Libra, and this will show, or this may culminate in a positive bonus and or raise as the 8th house deals with others as resources, and into the 6th house of work, the 60-degree aspect prevails. Yeah. Anyway, then on November 4th, Jupiter in Scorpio in your 9th house sextiles the moon once the moon comes into your 7th house into Virgo. And here we see largely the planet Jupiter in Scorpio positively sextiling the moon in our opposite sun sign in Virgo, as I'm a Pisces too. So moon in Virgo in your 7th house of the house of others and or business partners. And so this is a positive flowing aspect to Jupiter in your 9th to your 7th. Then on November 6th, Venus in Libra is conjuncted when the moon enters Libra. So now this 0 to 8 degree conjunction between the moon and Venus gives the 8th house even more of maybe possibly an emotional love of sensuality per se, or perhaps or some sort of flavor in an and as this is Scorpio's naturally residing house, even though Libra is on the 8th house cusp when you have Pisces rising. I'm almost kind of a little bit befuddled because I have Virgo rising, and so Aries is here for me on the 8th house cusp. However, okay, so this then, as I pointed out, is still also Scorpio's naturally residing house, the 8th house, deals with deep delving matters, and with the moon and Venus here, gives it an intensity like no other. Like I said, very passionate, very sensual. And then on November 6th as well, Uranus, which has been transiting your 3rd house of communications in Taurus, now moves into your 2nd house into the sign of Aries at 1901, going retrograde, at which time it will cause money matters and what you value to sometimes feel like they're leaving quicker then they're coming in. So scattered and impulsive expenditures, beware of that. But, however, Uranus will be coming back into the third house on or about January 6th, 2019, when it moves back in to Taurus and stays in Taurus also on or about March 6th, 2019. So this is all going to be kind of topsy-turvy between the two houses, with the planet Uranus being that it governs sudden eruptions such as earthquakes and sudden spontaneity, sudden everything. Lots of quick things happening. Then, also on November 6th, the north node of the moon in Leo moves out of Leo and enters your fifth house of romance and creativity into the sign of Cancer at 17 hours 38 minutes, and won't be entering your fourth house of the home until May 5th, 2020. However, see, it's going to make its gradual journey. This is interesting because I never knew this. The journey of the north node of the moon travels clockwise. However, the planets are traveling counterclockwise in a transit chart. Then, on the following day, November 7th, the new moon occurs in Scorpio at 16 hours 3 minutes and or 15 degrees Scorpio 11 minutes. And this is a time to maybe develop new perspectives on or through and from a philosophical standpoint, as the ninth house deals with religion and philosophy and or spirituality. And if you're at all very spiritual minded, this can give you the ability to start on a new philosophical energy pattern through the new moon in Scorpio. Then on November 8th, Jupiter, also in Scorpio still, makes what is known as a quincunx and or inconjunct with a symbol, an upside down V with a line over the top. And I don't have one of those aspect cards because it's a very infrequent and or rare aspect. And for this month only, November 8th, on November 8th, Jupiter inconjuncts or 5 houses and or 5 signs away the planet Uranus. So instead of being like an opposition when there's a 180 during an opposition, you now have a 5 sort of an angle of 5 signs away, which gives it that odd feeling of, the only thing I know about an inconjunct is from a longtime friend's natal chart, wherein the friend had something inconjuncting something, and it affected his ability to feel adequate in his talented abilities. And the fact of the matter is that it will temporarily, and only on November 8th, make something feel, or someone feel like maybe perhaps their finances are not adequate enough for perhaps a long distance trip. That's where I can see that happening. And so that's Jupiter in conjunct or quincunx Uranus. And it's a feeling of, oh no, you know, not having enough, feeling inadequate in particular way or ways or a particular way. I'm not really quite sure. Then on November 8th, Mars, which has been transiting the 12th house in Aquarius, squares the building up of the new moon as it builds toward the first quarter moon. And so with this 90-degree square from your 9th to your 12th houses and 3 signs 3 houses away, Mars squaring the new moon gives you that much more impetus to uniquely, as Aquarius stands for like a unique way of doing things. Inventors are born under both Aquarius and Pisces. And so Mars squaring the new moon gives you that sense of perhaps the impetus, as I said, or drive to start something new or take on something new and not let it, don't let it set you back though, because sometimes squares can be like an opposition and where you kind of feel like, oh, no, I don't know, you know. And, okay, so then on November 8th as well, now Jupiter enters Sagittarius, and now Jupiter feels at home because Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. Or Sagittarius, excuse me. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. I may have gotten that backwards the first time I said that in another reading. Okay, so in your 10th house, now Jupiter transits through and in your 10th house of career, public standing, and ego. And so that's always good for success, as Jupiter in the 10th house stands for success. And then on November 11th, 3 days later, Uranus trines the moon. Once the moon comes, it's a little bit messy there. The moon comes into your 10th house, into Sagittarius, and harmoniously 4 signs away trines the planet Uranus now. So now you may very well be given a sudden raise and or promotion within your career of choice. Then on 2 days later, on November 13th, Uranus squares the moon. Once the moon goes into Capricorn, into your 11th house of friendships. So now this square then can sometimes be a bit of a irritating, at times frustrating feeling that your friends and or something that you invested in the way of a group dynamic is not meeting your financial needs if you've perhaps asked for help from your friends. And that's where that stands with that. Then on November 15th, the first quarter moon occurs in your 12th house in Aquarius at 14 hours 55 minutes and or 23 degrees Aquarius 11 minutes. And having the first quarter moon stemming from the new moon over here in your 9th house, having the first quarter moon phase occur in your 12th house of the subconscious mind and dream state. You now have the ability to feel the need to go within, a lot like having a new moon, and do some reflecting and take some time out for yourself. Then too, on November 15th, Mars now no longer transits your 12th house, but it now comes into Pisces, into your first house of the self and body. And so, and that happens at 22 hours, 22 minutes into the day of November 15th. So now we're at the halfway mark and halfway through the month of November. And having Mars here in Pisces, in your first house of the self and body, will make you feel much more driven to take care of yourself. I kind of wish my Mars was there, because natally my Mars is over here in Pisces in my 7th house, and I'm always definitely thinking of others. I'm always the first one to make the first call, and I've got to try to stop and not do that as much. And so I'm always the one making the first call or the first contact. Always, all my life. So, with Mars in Pisces and now in your first house of the self and body, you now have the ability to take care of yourself, and you'll be driven to want to take care of your body, and make sure to take care of your feet. Soak your feet or whatever else you need to do. Then on November 16th, Uranus sextiles the first quarter phase moon. So from your 12th to your 2nd house of money. Now, this sextile brings sudden emotional, somewhat electric dreams, but they're positive. There's no nightmares. Maybe you'll have dreams of your soulmates or something. I've been having dreams of my soulmate, and I'm hoping it's going to come true. Then on November 16th as well, Venus stations direct at 10:52 in your 8th house of others as resources. And so for all of us, especially you Pisces, but for many of us, and especially Librans, as I stated, the love life for all of us is going to start picking up, because it was retrograde, but now it's going direct. Thank goodness. So this is good news to have it stationed direct, and having it stationed direct in the 8th house of others as resources and or sex, death, and taxes, as is known, kind of makes the love life, ooh la la, pick up. So that'll happen on November 16th, and thereafter you'll feel much more alive in the love department itself. Then the following day, November 17th, Mercury goes retrograde. I'm sorry. Yep. So, anything to do with signing any documents in the career sector, as Mercury goes retrograde in your 10th house of career, be mindful of signing anything. Don't sign anything unless you know for sure you've read all of the details. Then on November 18th, the Sun trines the Moon. Once the Moon goes into your sign, Pisces, as well as the fact that the sun is still over here in the watery sign of Scorpio in the 9th house. And with this very harmonious trine from your 9th to your 1st houses, you now have the ability to emotionally either travel in your mind, as Mercury is retrograde right now, so you might not want to book any trips, as there might be disappointments with that. However, you may very well be able to either travel in your mind or travel for a few, I mean, not like overseas. You don't necessarily have to travel overseas. However, if you are traveling overseas, this is a very harmonious time for yourself and your body. Perhaps it will be rejuvenating, and perhaps, as I said, if you're like me and you're more of an armchair traveler and you don't have the money to travel, then you're going to be kind of like, well, okay, I'm going to be just emotionally satisfied with perhaps my own set of philosophies, as also, as I mentioned, the 9th house deals with philosophical matters. Then, too, on November 20th, Uranus conjuncts the moon. Once the moon enters your 2nd house of money and what you value in the sign of Aries, and now makes the 0 to 8 degree together as one. Now this is interesting because I always see both as very much like a Libran energy here, because Uranus can be either one or the other, like flip-flopping, like sudden, in other words, impulsive. Well, as it is in Aries now too, especially. And now that the moon is in Aries, it's going to be like doubly emotional. Perhaps there's something about your money situation that makes you feel more in charge, you know, like, hey, woo. All right. Then on November 22nd, the sun enters Sagittarius. Now we see the much more joyous time of the year as we're gearing toward Thanksgiving. Notice my darker pumpkin. I just so happened to see this in Target and I went, oh my God, that's going to be perfect for the November readings, rather than the little orange pumpkin that's sort of kind of like, it's almost like encrusted with like little plastic beads. I was hoping to find one of those cute little ones with the funny, goofy faces on the front, but I knew it would take up too much space in the center here. But next year, hopefully, maybe I'll have that kind of pumpkin. That's just my sense of humor, as you are here. See, this is Earth. All right. So then, as I said, the sun enters Sagittarius, and that happens at 9:03 in your 10th house of career. Excuse me, I was pointing to Jupiter, wasn't I? Okay, my reach. I've got quite the reach. Okay, then, also on November 22nd, Pluto, which recently went direct in your 11th house of friendships in Capricorn, now trines the moon. Once the moon comes into your 3rd house of communications, and now we see Pluto. Here's the line from Pluto to the moon in Taurus, both Earth, fixed Earth. Taurus is the fixed Earth sign, and Capricorn is the cardinal Earth sign. And with this very harmonious trine from Pluto, now direct from your 11th to your 3rd houses, you now have this ability to emotionally connect in or on deeper subjects with your friends and feel that your friends are being receptive for once and not shunning what you say. Then on November 23rd, the full moon occurs in your 4th house of the home in Gemini at 5:40 and or 0 degrees Gemini 52 minutes, as it now opposes the sun in Sagittarius. So now here we have this axis, even though there is no aspect line for it, or there are no aspects, figuratively or metaphorically, there is somewhat of an aspect going on when the moon and the sun become opposite of one another, and so your home life will very greatly pick up as you are gearing toward decorating for the Thanksgiving feast. And also then 2 days later, yay, listen to this, our ruling planet Neptune. The ruling planet of Neptune is Pisces. The ruling planet of Pisces is Neptune. Oh my goodness, I am acting as if Mercury is retrograde again. And it's not even retrograde yet. Okay, don't mind me on that account. It is getting hot in here again. I don't know why our air conditioning has not come on. And if you hear that sound in the background, that's my dog drinking her water. There it goes, finally! I just said it. And sure enough, our air conditioning came on, but I'm not able to turn it on because I'm not going to leave my reading and step away from it. Okay, it's so hot though, I'm sweating. Okay, all right, getting back to what I was saying though, okay, Pisces, we're Pisces, we rock, okay, we are ruled, we Pisceans are ruled, our ruling planet is Neptune. And our ruling planet Neptune stations direct at 1:09 on November 25th. So that is very good for less confusion. And notice, I'm doing this reading, I guess, while it's retrograde. And I don't recall when Neptune went retrograde, but if it's retrograde, then that means that's why I stumbled over my words. And even as a toddler, they say I used to speak backwards. My words were always backwards to each other. Okay, so, yes, right. I'll have to look that up. Alrighty? Okay, but now, less confusion, less self-deception, less feeling scattered perhaps. Thank goodness, as Neptune stations direct on the 25th. Then also on November 25th, Uranus sextiles the waning full moon. And with this short but sweet sextile from the planet Uranus in Aries, the fiery position of Aries, to the full moon in Gemini, there is a big need to, and hopefully receive, a raise for something to do within the home. Okay, so Neptune went retrograde. Wow, how far back did that go? I'm looking it up. Wow, okay. Well, Neptune went retrograde on June 18th? Yeah, June 18th, 2018, and now it will station direct. Yes! Okay, so, as I said, now you'll get a raise, hopefully, for a large home improvement project and or something you want to do to redecorate your home. And then on 2 days later, on November 27th, Uranus squares the moon once the moon enters Cancer. And now makes this 90-degree angle from your 5th house of romance and creativity. The moon is now in Cancer on November 27th to squaring the planet Uranus in your 2nd house of money in Aries. So you may very well want to and need to be very careful how and what you spend on your romantic partner. So be mindful, because you may need it for the next month. You know, your holidays seasons are coming up and you want more to be able to live on, and you know. Then also on November 29th, Jupiter, now in Sagittarius in your 10th house of career, makes what is known as a semi-square, or like an arrow triangle, a partial like that. And I don't have one of those either, because it's a very infrequent, rare semi-square between Jupiter and Pluto. So maybe something to do with hopefully not, but maybe something to do with a friendship as a colleague, turning a colleague into a friend, maybe not wanting or needing warning, caution not to mix business with pleasure, perhaps, friends, in the workplace or career house there. And so that's maybe something to be watchful of. And that happens at 4:29 on November 29th. Also on November 29th, Uranus trines the moon once the moon comes full circle in Leo. And so from your 6th to your 2nd house, once again, maybe something, maybe some way you'll be able to emotionally ask for a raise and suddenly be surprised that you will receive it. So that's what I can see there. And then finally, on November 30th, the last quarter moon occurs in your 7th house of others and significant partnerships and marriage in or at 0 hours 20 minutes, 7 degrees Virgo, 43 minutes. And last quarter moon phase here in your 7th house may mean you're ending a business partnership, as it deals with business partners as well, or hopefully not, or maybe you are ending a marriage, hopefully not, or annulling something, you know, hopefully not, for your sake. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I hope you feel free to give me a thumbs up or like, comment down below. Feel free to subscribe, and have a very peaceful Thanksgiving. And yes, indeed, I still am healing from my hand surgery, and it's bumming me out because the surgeon told me that there's a 99% chance that I have Dupuytrens Contracture, meaning my fingers will eventually start curling in toward the palms of my hands. But I'm going to do everything I can to fight this and not allow that to happen, even though it is hereditary. It's very saddening to me right now, but I'm doing everything I can to stay positive. And I hope you will too. And until I see you in December, thanks again. Bye for now.